My name is Aitken. I'm the Global Head of Public Affairs for dLocal. dLocal is, whilst it is a young company, it was only founded in 2016, it is actually a huge global company. We are listed on the NASDAQ. We are a public company. We operate in over 40 countries around the world. We serve some of the biggest digital commerce merchants in the world. Our merchants are in the top 10 of the public companies in America, and what we do, the reason you possibly haven't heard of us is because we are often a silent partner in the payment space. What we do is we connect some of these biggest global merchants, and we enable them to operate in the emerging markets. The 40 emerging across 40 emerging markets, we connect these global merchants to over 900 local payment methods, often alternative payment methods like M-PESA here in East Africa, but digital wallets, instant payments, bank transfers, as well as more traditional methods like cards. But what we specialize in is really connecting to the alternative payment methods, the preferred payment methods that people use around the world. And in doing so, we are connecting billions of people to the global digital economy. We're enabling people who formerly did not have access to the global digital economy. There is a statistic that here in Africa, the rate of cart abandonment, what we mean by that is people who try to buy a good or a service online, often digital, but sometimes physical, abandons that process of making that purchase because their payment method was refused. And in Africa, you have an 85% cart abandonment rate. And this really is the core of the problem that dLocal solves. It is making sure that the billions of consumers across the emerging markets who are often underbanked or completely unbanked, but more and more have access to mobile phones and digital payments, are able to use these preferred payment methods to access the global digital economy. And I don't just mean their ability to make purchases. I also mean their ability to receive payments from remittance companies, for example, from diaspora who are living overseas sending money home, or indeed the ride-hailing services who are our merchants, who want to pay their drivers in their preferred payment method. And so this pipework that we build and connect our merchants to is our core business. And as you say, it's often silent. So we're sometimes unknown, but that doesn't mean that we are, one of the biggest players in the world, and certainly in the emerging markets.
We have been in Kenya for the last 2 years. We are now turning 3. We got our license in 2023, early 2023. Like he said, we actually are a highly regulated company. We believe in compliance. So we know very well licenses and regulations need to be followed. That's why we got our license last year, but 1. So we have been operating and we are truly happy.
Look, I'm pleased that you asked this question, because as the Global Head of Public Affairs, this really is one of my key core jobs, is to ensure that the governments and regulators around the world understand what we do, that they understand how highly regulated we are. As Ferd said, we are of course regulated in all the markets that we operate where we need to be regulated, but we're also regulated by some of the highest regulatory authorities in the world. Just last year, we were issued our license by the Financial Conduct Authority in the UK. So this is a hugely important issue for us, because we really see compliance as a competitive advantage. As I think Ferd already mentioned, we are a publicly listed company on the NASDAQ stock exchange. So we believe that it's actually that it sits very nicely in the payment space, because of course, being a publicly listed company, there are requirements for transparency. And we believe that in this space, which is so highly regulated, but often so complex, you mentioned around Africa, the variety and the difference in regulation that we experience. And you're absolutely right that this is one of the huge challenges of operating on the continent. But certainly from our perspective, what we want to do is work with regulatory authorities, use our experience of the global best practice that we can point to, both from our own regulation by people like the Financial Conduct Authority in the UK, but also our experience across not just Africa, but Latin America, Middle East, and Asia, to say this is what the regulators are doing in these emerging markets. The thing that we face in many emerging markets is the regulations have not kept pace with the innovation of the payment service providers. And often the regulations that we try to fit into are designed for the more traditional financial institutions. And so it's really important for us to be able to work with the central banks and the regulators to help them design new regulation that allows us to operate entirely within a regulatory framework that is appropriate for us. That's a really good question. And I think, as I said, the approach we take is a collaborative one. In these jurisdictions at the permission of the local government and regulators. And therefore it is for us to make sure that we are fitting in with them and not expecting them or judging them for not understanding us. So the onus is on us to explain what we do, to explain where we believe we fit into their regulatory framework, and where there is any misalignment with that, to work with the regulatory authorities to be transparent and to say, this is what we want to do. We believe that, if you gave us permission or you changed the regulations slightly, this would not only allow us to operate, but it would create a framework for the digital payments services, including our competitors, to come and operate here. And of course, that creates the ecosystem that generates the opportunities that we believe in, because actually we know that there's huge opportunity in this space. We know that there is space for, and we welcome competition in this space. And therefore, we want to make sure that there is a level and fair playing field in terms of the regulatory framework that we want to operate within.
Yes, we have many partners we work with. We work with Safaricom. We work with, because Safaricom has different entities in it. We have Safaricom Money Transfer. We also work with M-PESA. We also work with IPSL, that's the instant payment, integrated payment systems. We also work with other banking partners. We work with liquidity providers. We work with other organizations, as long as they are trying to actually innovate. And because our business is not basically to determine what or to dictate what the end user will pay. using. Our business is to ensure that at least we accommodate every end user, regardless of whichever channel of payment they want to actually make, because that's actually the most inconvenient payment option which they believe in. Yes. So high level, yes, we work with such organizations, Airtel, M-PESA, Safaricom. We also work with Equity, we work with UBA, EcoBank, PesaLink, and all that. Most of the banks. We are seeing a lot of end users wanting to actually get to send money using their phones. That's one of the things. But remember the current limits. Sometimes they are not able to support such. So as much as small payments will actually be done using mobile money, there will also be some other payments which will actually go to the traditional bank accounts, and that's why we actually collaborate with the likes of PesaLink to ensure that at least businesses and also people receiving large sums of money or transferring large sums of money are able to also get the support we want. Okay. One of the things which we do is using our single API, we are actually able to ensure that at least we are connecting to different players in the market, the likes of central banks and also blue bank routers and all that. So at any given time, we actually are able to source our currencies and also to ensure that at least we know where the currencies are. And that is what we actually support to ensure that at least we are able to advise the end users of the currency they're actually paying at that time. Our system, remember one thing, and which we always say, dLocal is not just a payment company, it's actually a technology payment platform. So we ensure that at least we bring transparency by ensuring that at least we are connected to thousands or hundreds of different central banks and also different players who are able to actually understand where the currencies of certain markets and certain institutions are. And then we can actually provide a competitive proposition to the end users. At the end of it all, you need also to understand the end user is the one who is actually receiving that. Yes. With our single API, this means one thing. The merchants can actually rely on us because of 1, speed, 2, compliance, 3, multiple jurisdictions which we can actually support them. Let's look at it. When a merchant is actually looking for growth, the first thing which they want to ensure is 1, they are compliant. The second thing, they also want to ensure that at least your speed to the market is actually what determines whether they will actually exist or not. And then how fast do you integrate with them? So with our single API, we are actually able to take a merchant live in more than 40 countries which we exist in. Yes, that's something which has actually not been done before, because with our single API, we actually give you over 900 payment methods. Meaning that if you want to go to Kenya and you are looking for a partner, you don't need to actually keep on talking to Bank X, talking to Partner X. We have already done that. If you want to go to Rwanda, the same thing. If you want to go to Tanzania, same thing. Uganda, South Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, all that. Yes. So we believe in 1, speed, 2, compliance, 3, ensuring that at least end users, regardless of where they are, they can actually pay with whichever currency they believe in. Yes. In terms of our go-to-market, since we just are too new, but we are not new to the game, we believe that at least we will keep on expanding this market. New innovations will actually come in, and one of the best things which we are doing is to ensure that at least we support MSMEs and small businesses in Africa. We have what we call our own platform, which allows a small MSME which wants to actually go global to utilize our platform and our services. SME wants maybe to do collections in 5 markets. They might not be able to fit into the bigger global merchants space, but we are able to actually accommodate them using one of our platforms and one of our services to ensure that at least they can actually get the services which global merchants are getting. Yes.
And if an SME wants to now partner with you and to use your API?
We welcome that. We welcome that.
Okay.
We have an onboarding process which where an end user is an end user is able to interact with us, or an MSME owner is able to interact with us on daily basis, weekly basis. We work 24/7. Remember, when we are a global company.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So our business is to ensure that at least we understand what the MSME wants, so that at least we can actually tailor make a product or a service for them.
Okay.
Yes.